Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Monday, November 23rd. Today's Gospel passage comes to us from the 21st chapter of St. Luke's Gospel. It reads, "When Jesus looked up, he saw some wealthy people putting their offerings into the treasury, and he noticed a poor widow putting in 2 small coins. He said, 'I truly tell you, this poor widow put in more than all the rest. For those others have all made offerings from their surplus wealth, but she from her poverty has offered her whole livelihood.'" I want to begin by stating something obvious that I believe is important to this passage. Jesus was not openly criticizing the wealthy people in this particular situation in the gospel. And I think the reason is very clear. The money that came from the wealthy people was important for the operation of the temple. Without these large contributions from the wealthy individuals, the temple would not be able to do what it needed to do to worship God and to support the pilgrims that came to it. Now, there are other times in the gospel when Jesus talks about the challenges associated with wealth and how it affects people's lives. But again, not in this situation. Therefore, I believe this is a good reminder that people should not judge harshly those who are wealthy, because there's many times when these individuals are important in providing the financial and material needs of religious institutions and other institutions in our society. But it's also clear that Jesus is holding up this widow's examples for his disciples to ponder and also for us to ponder. Because she did give proportionately more than all the rest. Because she was generous, because she from her poverty offered the money that would supported her livelihood. She gave everything. And Jesus' acknowledgement of the widow's generosity also points to her deep faith. She was able to offer her livelihood because she trusted that God would take care of her. Therefore, this generous act was done out of faith. And she, this widow, had knowledge and trust in her life that she needed to do this for God. And since she did it for God, she had faith that God would take care of her. Now, there will probably be some of us who hear this passage who think that she was being irresponsible because she did not keep enough to take care of herself. And there will also be some of us who hear this passage who wish that we could be this generous in our lives. It doesn't matter where we fall on this widow, because at the end of the day, she made her choice, as did the wealthy people in this situation. We, as individuals, cannot stand in judgment of other people's actions because we don't know their full story, we don't know their full situation. The challenge for us is to truly take this gospel passage and to take it to prayer. Because again, we don't want to compare ourselves to others, but it's clear from this passage that we are called to be generous in our lives. And we always need to be assessing, are we being generous enough? Have we given enough of ourselves, both from our time, our talent, and our treasure, to help others? Now, again, we may not be called to act like the widow, but radical generosity is something that many of us are called to. For example, we may be called to take care of an aging parent or another family member. We may feel a deep call in our lives to devote our resources and time to help address problems in our community. And whatever it may be, each of us has to discern how we in faith can trust in God so that we can be generous in support of God and also of neighbor. Now, as a pastor myself, I probably should remind everyone that the material and spiritual support of the church is one of the precepts of the Catholic Church, which means that the material and spiritual support of the church is required for individuals to be a Catholic in good standing. However, the material and spiritual support of the church is not the only thing we are called to do. Many of us may be called to be generous in many, many different ways. So again, we are all called to live generously, and we just have to decide, through God's help, how we are going to live this out in our lives. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.